sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Oh, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Oh, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. We'll have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at a time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs. And all I ever had, redemption songs. These songs of freedom, songs of freedom. That's how to not sing a song. That's called forcing it. Welcome to another episode of The Apocalypse. I'm so glad you're back. And since you have unwisely chosen The Apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide, and unfortunately for me, I am that guide. Your humble guide, Nicholas. It appears that even Miss Huckabee, even good old Arkansas, can't even get any help from Donny Shitbags, also known as the Antichrist. Uh-oh. Yes, let's begin. An article came out today, all three of you. Sanders says Arkansas in dire need of federal assistance, but Trump says no. And before I comment, let's read a little bit. Governor Sarah Sanders said Arkansas is in dire need of federal assistance. That's a quote. In an appeal letter last week after the federal government denied help after last month's damaging storms. 14 tornadoes touched down in Arkansas on March 14 and 15, leaving 3 dead and dozens injured. The next week, Sanders asked President Trump for a major disaster declaration. Not Biden, not Obama, not Hillary. Donnie Shitbags. The first step in securing federal funds and other help from Federal Emergency Management Agency. FEMA. You know, the thing you guys hate. Sanders specifically requested help in the form of small business loans and individual assistance. You guys hate it till your farm's ruined by a tornado or your fucking roof caves in Arkansas. Then you got your handout for socialist handouts to save your ass. That's why I say and others say you believe in nothing. Otherwise, you wouldn't want that socialist handout. You'd pull yourself up by the bootstraps and rebuild your own fucking house with no money. Anyway, where was I? Requested help in the form of small business loans and individual assistance for people in Greene, Hot Spring, Independence, Izard, Jackson, Lawrence, Randolph, Sharp, and Stone counties. Counties. That's large sections of land. That's a lot of counties. Again, small business loans and individual assistance. Donnie Shitbags told you folks in Arkansas and Miss Huckabee and her father, who Donnie gave like an ambassador to Israel job or something, told you all to fuck off. How do you feel about that in Arkansas? Again, I know you people didn't care about yourselves, but we did. That's why we begged you not to do this. And if the black lady was in charge, guess what? Despite all the lies you tell about her, she would have given you this money and you fucking know it. So the people that don't have a house anymore or whatever the fuck's going on down here, you can thank Donnie for that. You can thank yourself for that if you voted for it. If you didn't vote for it, I'm very sorry to hear you lost everything. If you did vote for it, you got what you voted for. I'm sorry you picked it. I didn't. Donnie said fuck off, but I'm not done yet. But the Trump administration declined to declare a disaster, meaning no federal assistance would be heading our way. In their rejection note to Sanders' March 21 request, the federal government said the damage wasn't anything state and local folks couldn't handle. Again, Arkansas, how do you feel about that? Donnie says you can handle it. Just like he promised when he got rid of FEMA, or he said he was going to get rid of FEMA, and basically said the states can handle it all by themselves. Why? Because I told you, Donnie thinks he's Caesar. Any federal money is his. Why the fuck should he share it with you? He's proven it right now. Even the rubes. This ain't California. This ain't Gavin Newsom's territory. This ain't, Massachusetts. This is motherfucking Arkansas. This is red country, son. Look at him just telling you to go fuck yourself. But again, we warned you that's what he would do. We knew he would do it to us and you, and we tried to beg you to save yourself and us. Let's continue. Here's what the federal government said in its denial, according to Lacey Kneep, spokeswoman for the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management. Based on our review of all the information available, it has been determined that the damage from this event was not of such severity and magnitude as to be beyond the capabilities of the state, affected local governments, and voluntary agencies. Accordingly, we have determined that supplemental federal assistance is not necessary. Again, Arkansas, how do you feel about this? They're just straight up saying, fuck you. It kind of sounds like the kind of letters that people get from their insurance company when they're trying to tell you, we know you paid for 15 years. Yeah, we're not covering it. Fuck off. That's what this explanation, this quote from the letter or the response, Miss Huckabee got. And I've got no love for Miss Huckabee, but I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see no one lose their home. They can't afford to fix it. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care if you're a total rube. Because I'm not you. You laugh at other people's suffering. I don't. I didn't want this to happen. I've been begging people for 10 years on camera for this not to happen. You wanted it. You got it if you voted for it. Again, if you didn't vote for it, excuse my comments. They're not about you. I'm making a point here that it doesn't matter if you supported this monster or not. He hates every one of you. It's all a grift to him, but you knew this, and the grift had an R next to it, so it was good enough for you. Again, you people in Arkansas that lost everything or lost property and you needed federal assistance, the federal government just said, fuck off, you can handle it yourselves. And you in a deep red ass state with a deep red ass governor whose daddy is ambassador to fucking Israel, and you still couldn't get help, son. Again, you put your name on, you ready? The Antichrist. He doesn't fucking care about you. But you knew this. Again, we begged you. We begged you. Look at Donnie saying straight up, fuck you to Arkansas and Huckabee Sanders. How did they word that? Based on our review, it has been determined that the damage from this event was not of such severity and magnitude as to be beyond the capabilities of the state, affected local governments, and voluntary agencies. Accordingly, we have determined that supplemental federal assistance is not necessary. Also known as fuck off. I've been telling you he's a beast, right? Or the beast, right? I've been telling you that. That's a piece of evidence right there. Fucks over his own people for the grift. Because again, all that federal money in his mind, I'm telling you, he thinks that's his. Why the fuck would he want to share it with you? That's Donnie's shitbags. He just proved it by telling Huckabee in Arkansas to fuck off. I rest my case. Carolyn Leavitt's campaign debt in New Hampshire is messy. I didn't even know she ran for something. I heard about this once before, but I didn't report it to you good people. Potential FEC violations abound. $300,000 in debt, $200,000 in illegal donations, which should have been returned within 60 days by law. She went 3 years without reporting. Do not share. The press secretary wants us to go away. So just like everyone else in this crooked ass Antichrist, Satan, Nazi administration, Miss Leavitt also has a very shady past. But it's okay because she married a rich guy. So she gets to fuck over all these people, right, that she owes money to. But we don't. Isn't it funny how that works? And she gets to be press secretary as she fucks people over. On hundreds of thousands of dollars, by the way. Now we know why she got the job. Carolyn Leavitt introduces Tim Pool as he takes the White House's new media seat. So the media seat, I guess, is for people like Tim Pool, Chaya Skank, and people like that, utter propagandists that are being funded by Russia or China or whoever, not America. First, we had to sit here as Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and so many others got straight up caught taking Russian money, and I don't believe a one of them that they didn't know, son. I'm not stupid. You may be. I'm not stupid. All of them know they're not talented enough to command those kinds of salaries. Not even fucking close. The only reason they're on the air is they're willing to say certain things. That means certain people are willing to fund them. Tim Pool's a dude that left school at like 12 or some shit. He's a fucking moron. But he's willing to sell his soul for the talking points and for Russia. So he's in. So we watched as this was revealed for the whole world. And what did all the websites do? Every single one of them still fucking platformed. Including here. I think they got rid of some woman, Miss Chen, was like the only one that they got rid of. Tim Pool gets promoted. I see huge ads on my feed for him. So we all sat here and watched, and I explained to you, I told you way in advance that it was going on, and then I was proven right again in the midst of this, we find out a whole network of broadcasters were taking Russian money. You remember that? So we watched as all the websites, even though the whole world knows they're being funded by Russia, even though the whole world knows that all the websites took Russian money, and they still are, and they're promoting abject, verified paid shills for Russia still to this day, including this website. We watched all that. We watched them rub it in our fucking face as they collect the Vlad ad money. Now we got to watch as these cunts get invited into the White House, these Russian-funded fucking traitors. Once again, it proves Donnie Krasnov, Vlad's bitch since 1987, verified. Just like all these shills for Russia are now verified. Oh, and Benny Johnson, remember, two-time plagiarist as well. These are great people that are involved with the Reich, aren't they? The only qualification is, are you a sociopath, and will you lick Donnie's shoes? That's it. And you're in. No actual experience or skill necessary. Obvious with Miss Levitt, Hegseth leaking classified info to his grandma every 3 seconds. So many, just utter incompetence. Oz gets up there the other day and says, just be healthy, basically. That's what he fucking said. So many. Mike Waltz. So many just utter incompetent fucking freaks that have no business there. And you're witnessing the downfall of your empire, son. I hope you know that. With this many incompetent sycophants in charge in the highest positions, we're done. Forget about it. Stick a fork in us. I mean, you saw Tulsi Gabbard in the hearings, too. She looked like a scared little girl because she was involved in a classified chat that got leaked to a fucking reporter. Again, another person who's supposed to be, in charge of our security at the highest fucking level. Another straight up Russian asset. Just like Donnie Krasnov. Now we got another Russian asset, literally, where do you think Timmy gets his money from? And it's verified that he gets it from Russia. And he didn't give that $400,000 back, did he? Of course not. And he's still buying ads with that fucking money, too. And the websites know it. So we've got an actual paid shill for Russia, or also known as a Russian asset, whether he even realizes it or cares or not. Because he's just an uneducated fucking joke who dropped out of school and fucking, is shilling for the Reich. Not only shilling for the Reich, he's shilling for our enemy, Russia. And again, son, I don't know if you know, Russia's been our enemy since 1945. Again, podcaster Tim Pool got the invite to the White House press briefing in the new media seat. And his question is to ask Carolyn Levitt to comment on why everyone is being mean to the people in that seat for asking stupid questions. Maybe we're being mean, or maybe people are being mean to the freaks in that seat, the sociopaths, like Tim Pool, because we know they're paid shills for Russia. Maybe that's why people are being mean. Maybe you guys are asking stupid questions because you're trying to shill for the Reich on camera, and it's not even in a clever way. You should have heard the questions that Tim asked. Hitler would have been fucking proud at that propaganda, straight from the Reich to Timmy's mouth and back out in front of the cameras. It was a complete fucking waste of time. Tim has no business being there. He's a fucking joke, paid shill for Russia. It's just another nail in that coffin for you people that dare say, Donnie's not owned by Russia. That's a hoax. Are you kidding me? Paid shill for Russia right there in the media seat. That's what you've done, Rubes. Paid shills for Russia. Our enemy that wants to see you starving. Since 1945, it's been a competition. You lost. Why did you lose? Because you're fucking stupid. And by stupid, I mean you're most likely racist. Because there's no logical reason to vote for Donnie Shitbags. So I can only assume that all of you out there voted for illogical reasons. Feelings. Bias. Cost of your country, son. I hope it was worth it. It's over. It was over last November. Now it's in its death throes. Before the Antichrist shows you what it really is, as you tried to portray it as politics, and people like me tried to portray it as what it is, good versus evil, right versus wrong. Guess what side of it you're on, son, if your name's on this? The wrong side. And if you think there's any justifiable argument for things like El Salvadoran death camps and grabbing people off the street without due process and throwing U.S. prisoners in El Salvadoran death camps, and that's just one example. If you think there's anything valid or good in there, you're just lost, son. There's no justifiable argument. And I know you see Jesse Waters make that argument, but that's because he's a demon destined for the lake. I hope you don't follow him, because Jesse don't give a fuck. Yeah, take a look. Paid shill for Russia in his hoodie and hat, not wearing a suit. I know you guys are all about respect for the White House, wearing suits and stuff. Aren't you proud of yourself? Verified paid shill for Russia in the White House media seat, spouting utterly rehearsed propaganda-style questions. Like this, I'll give you one. Ready? The Reich is so beautiful. Miss Levitt, you're so beautiful. Donnie's so beautiful. He's wonderful. He's manly. He's wonderful. Why are all the people out there, why are they so mean in saying you're not beautiful? That's a propagandized, rehearsed, bullshit question designed to glorify the Reich. And it's not about the question. It's about, again, denial of reality and denial of the truth. Tim Pool is a fucking traitor. We know he took Russian money. We know he didn't give it back. We know he's still spouting the same talking points. We know he's an abject fucking hick that dropped out of school. Yet he's there. Inversion of reality instead of a real reporter. Someone that isn't a traitor. Someone that isn't taking money from our enemy, verified. That's what you've achieved. I hope you're proud of yourself. And again, back to the Arkansas thing for a second. The Huckabee Sanders that applied for federal assistance for tornado victims or whatever it was. Again, I know you people like Miss Sanders, her father, many of you out there, you thought by voting for this, he would only hurt the people that you don't like and that he doesn't like, right? I know you did. How do you explain that Arkansas thing? How do you explain basically the government telling Miss Sanders to fuck off? And all the people she represents. Those are your people. Those are MAGA people. And how many of you have lost your federal job or your job because of the tariffs, layoffs in government? Again, I know you all thought it was only going to hurt the people you don't like. You thought that last time too, 2016 to 2020. I saw a lot of farmers on camera saying them tariffs were killing them. I read articles about farmers committing suicide. Guarantee a lot of those farmers voted Donnie. Even after you watched it once, again, even after you watched him try and overthrow the government, be an abject traitor to his nation, you put your name on it again, like Miss Sanders did. Look at Miss Sanders now, a broke-ass state like Arkansas, begging the federal government for money, which is their right to do, in a disaster. And Donnie just says, fuck off. You can handle it yourself. Just like he said at the press conference when he came up with the idea months ago. Again, he says he's going to do these things and you people just, even though when you hear it, you know it will directly impact you, may ruin your life. And you just wave it off. One more time, Miss Sanders and all of you that have your name on this, you thought he would only hurt people you don't like. Guess what? Like I've been saying for several months and for years, we're all going to be crying at the end of this. Even the staunchest rube. That's how bad it's going to be. For many, it's already been that bad for the past 10 years when Donnie was in power the first time. Some of you didn't even make it through that. Anyway, let me go back to Tim the Trader Pool that, because of you, is now in our White House. Straight up verified, paid shill for Russia. This is old. It's kind of a then and now thing. Mother Jones, new indictment alleges conservative media company took millions in Kremlin cash. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Lawrence Southern, Benny Johnson have all worked with Tenet Media. They all, in other words, all those names took Russian money. Remember that? I know there's been a lot of scandals and we've forgotten many of them. Do you remember the abject, verified, paid shills for Russia that got exposed? I talked about it. So it went from that, and the website's still promoting these people and allowing them to broadcast, to that in the White House. Are you proud of yourself? Pat yourself on the back. Hey, why not let Alex Jones in one of them seats? What the hell, man? I guess Alex didn't pay the ransom money yet. The tribute money, because Alex, owes $1 billion for defamation. The guy that's platformed on pretty much every website, I think, except for this one. Or maybe they let him back. I don't know. All right, there's another gentleman that's been in prison. Let me just read the gentleman's statement. I feel like this fact is going overlooked. Mr. Khalil is a lawful permanent resident currently being jailed by the U.S. government purely because they did not like his speech and want to deport him for his words. A lawful permanent resident. Emails below show Mahmoud Khalil's request for a temporary release to attend the birth of his first child and the denial 32 minutes later by ICE. Field Director Melissa B. Harper. Khalil's wife, Dr. Noor Abdallah, gave birth to a baby boy on Monday. 32 minutes, they told him to fuck off. Evil, man. Evil. There's a lot of names we forget that are still rotting in prisons beside Abrego Garcia. Abrego just got most of the attention. There's all these other people too. Trump's tariff math, lose 10 trillion, gain 500 million, genius. Dude literally wiped out 10 trillion to bring in only 500 million. CBP says latest tariffs have generated 500 million, well below Trump's estimate. This number keeps going down. Do you notice that? So $500 million, what is Donnie doing? Well, he sees that tariff money as his money. The U.S. Treasury, that's his money. That's how he looks at it. I told you this months ago. So in order for him to grift 500 million, he cost all of us 10 trillion with the stock market going down. What do you think about that? It's undeniable, too. It's dead fact, written in stone. 10 trillion gone, 500 million in exchange. Why is Donnie cool with that? Because he sees that as his money. He can put his hand in that money. What do you think the tariffs were about last time? It's a grift, son. Also market manipulation. Every fucking 2 weeks he does it. Again, does this sound logical to you? Why would a president be okay with wiping out 10 trillion in value in the stock market? Your 401ks, billionaires, stock money, in order to take in 500 million in tariffs. Even the kind of dumbest rube, why do you think somebody would do that and take the heat of a $10 trillion drop in the stock market? There's only one reason a person would do that. Either they got a gun to their head, or it's a fucking grift, son. The VA just sent an email out to all employees announcing an anti-Christian bias task force. That doesn't sound too fucking dystopian. And guess what, people? I'm a Christian saying that. Just because out there throwing the word Christian and Jesus around don't mean I'm on your side. Because most of you motherfuckers out there that throw the word Christian and Jesus around voted for the, hold on, the Antichrist. Do you know that? Not an Antichrist. The Antichrist. That's who you voted for. So if you dare let the word Jesus pass through your lips, or you dare identify as a Christian, and your name's on this shit, then you ain't never been a Christian, son. And you best get your name off it. So yes, anti-Christian bias task force in this dystopian nightmare we find ourselves in, thanks to the rubes and the greedy at the top and Satan, and asking them to turn in fellow employees for a list of violations. Now we're turning in employees for anti-Christian bias. What did I tell you, people? Months back, I said it's going to come to everybody's doorstep. And it's going to be like this, remember? Hi, Mr. Johnson. Your neighbor called and said, you said Donnie Krasnov is a Russian asset. Can you come with us, please? Where do you think this leads, son? Reporting co-workers for anti-Christian bias? Where do you think this leads, son? This leads to that place I just showed you. Hi, Mr. Johnson. We're from the Reich. Your son called and said, you said Leon Scum is a piece of shit. Can you come with us? That's all this is. It's also this. There's two aspects to it. There's that aspect to get to that doorstep moment that I just showed you. It's also, again, I told you, Donnie needs to play this role all of a sudden. The protector of Christianity and Judaism. Why? Because he needs those two communities. Because he needs that temple built in Israel and that resort. He needs them gold statues on the Holy Land of himself that you saw in the commercial that I showed you. I didn't hear Donnie rebuke that commercial either. Did you notice that? So he needs those two communities most of all right now, and he will turn on both of those communities. Here's the problem. The right-wing Israelis, they love Donnie shitbags, and the religious right in Israel, they love Donnie shitbags. He's their conduit to the temple, and that's what's really being talked about behind closed doors. The resort is just an excuse to get a bunch of construction going. So he needs you, both of those communities, very badly. It's very high priority. It's where all these roads lead. World War III, the Suez Canal, the Panama, taking Canada, taking Greenland. It's where all the roads lead to this moment where that temple's on the Temple Mount. And Donnie can somehow make it about worship of him. Everything you're seeing, that's the end goal. So he really needs to be the protector of Christianity and the Jewish community that matters to him. Those in power in Israel and the right-wing Jewish community that support him. He's going to be your best friend. And I'm talking about the fake Christians. And I'm talking about the Jews who are willing to work with the Nazis. The right wing in Israel, not all of Israel. I want to be real clear on that. He will use both of those communities. Again, that Jewish community is working with literal Nazis and the Antichrist. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. The Christian, in quotes, community here, working with the Antichrist, supporting him, joining ideas and endorsing ideas like anti-Christian bias task force. That's not the way to go, church. I'm sorry. That's authoritarianism. And again, in this country, it says in our documents, there can be no state-sanctioned religion. Sorry. So that's just totally unconstitutional. It's against everything this country was founded on. They did not want, the founders did not want this to turn into some religious theocracy, as much as so many of you want it to be. So this is way over the top. Phrases like anti-Christian bias task force, anything like this will always be used by an authoritarian movement. This is not normal behavior. Again, the institutional church cares about its power. It goes hand in hand with right-wing politics across the globe. The problem is just doing the standard thing as the church or as the right-wing Jews in Israel and supporting republicanism and the Republican candidate. Well, this time, again, you saw all the abominations and you put your name on it anyway. Why? Because it helps maintain your power, your glory, not God's. You're on team Antichrist, church in America. And I don't care what you think about that. It's going to cost you everything. All you Christians in America that have your name on this, you're not a Christian, son. Otherwise, your name wouldn't be on the Antichrist. You still have a chance to turn away, though, and actually be one. But no real Christian would ever put their name on the Antichrist, son. Even if Donnie wasn't the Antichrist, no real Christian would ever put their name on him. We've seen every abomination, lie, blasphemy, every crime. There are no excuses. You're on the wrong side of it. And if you call yourself a Christian or a Jew in Israel, a right-wing Jew, well, how can you call yourself a Jew when you're siding with the Nazis, when you're siding with the Antichrist? How can you call yourself a Christian here in America or anywhere when you voted for the Antichrist and Nazism? It's a bit contradictory, isn't it? And what it tells me, every Christian that has their name on Donnie or ever put their name on Donnie, you never heard one word of the book, did you? You never heard one word of Jesus, did you? That's all it tells me. You've been doing an act, son. That's all you've been doing. Otherwise, your name wouldn't be on it. It's that simple. I'm sorry. I never wanted to put my name on it once. That's how I know I'm walking the right path and you're not. U.S. pro-Kremlin propagandists that receive money from Russian operatives are now being granted access to the White House and press pool Every day, the Trump regime finds a way to reward Russia. Indeed, well, he's Stani Krasnov. And Tim Pool's an actual verified paid shill for Russia. Here's two rulings in court. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to restore Voice of America and several affiliated news services, finding the Trump administration's effort to dismantle it likely violated the law. I'm sure it'll be appealed and all kind of things, but I like to read you these judgments so you can see all the rulings that Donnie and the Reich are going to ignore. Because it's too late for judges to step in now. I'm sorry. Again, November, when you people gave them the keys, over. So all these judges trying to fight it out now, too late, son. I'm sorry. Too late. It's over. After a brutal hearing in SDNY, a federal judge in New York extended an order blocking the Trump administration use of wartime statute against Venezuelan immigrants in his jurisdiction without notice and a hearing. He compared it to an inquisition-like medieval times. That's an interesting comparison. I'd compare it to Nazi Germany, literally. We got a concentration camp in El Salvador that we're paying for. We were putting people at Gitmo. We were going to put 40,000 there. The exact number you can fit in the Seacott prison. Isn't that interesting? They abandoned that because they found a good little demon, a Bitcoin demon that's into, the cashless, just like Donnie. Called Bukele down there. Who'll take anybody. He doesn't, man, woman, child. He don't give a fuck. And he don't care if you're guilty. He will take that money and lock your ass up forever. That's what kind of demon we talking about. So I'd compare it more to Nazi Germany, and I still see commentators in certain interviews. Well, while I think it's ridiculous to compare Donnie's regime to Nazi Germany, blah, blah, fucking blah. Why is it ridiculous? We're disappearing people already. Down to El Salvador, no one sees them again. No one hears from them. We don't know if they're alive or dead. We get satellite pictures that look like there's blood all over the ground, son. We get staged photo ops in El Salvador where government agents are trying to put margaritas on the table to make it look like a party. We have utter inversion of reality. We have attacks against news agencies, judges, every institution that holds anyone accountable. Pure Adolf Hitler playbook. Why can't we compare it to Nazi Germany? Then we've got Leon Scum up there, Nazi salute on Inauguration Day. Remember that? We got RFK Jr. talking about putting drug addicts in camps. We got RFK Jr. talking about how autistic people can't contribute to society. We got an article or a title I'm going to read to you where he wants to make a registry to keep track of autistic people. Gee, I wonder why they want to do that. But I'll get to that in a moment. Attorney General Pam Bondi to launch a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. Again, there should be no government agencies trying to eradicate or promote any religion. Because, again, according to our founding documents, there should be no state-sponsored religion. This kind of looks like a state-sponsored religion to me. And forcing it on other people and persecuting anyone that criticizes it. I don't know. Again, it kind of sounds kind of Nazi-ish. And guess what the Nazis called themselves too? Christians. Not a one of them was, of course. But they know it works on the rubes. Just like Miss Bondi and Donnie the Antichrist knows it works on you rubes. You Christians that have your name on this. The second they say Jesus or Donnie holds a Bible upside down after beating a whole crowd of protesters. You all on it. You all about it. You're so lost, son. You're so lost. Every single person with your name on this and you dare go to church on Sunday, you dare talk, go to your Bible study group, as your name's on the Anticristo. The fucking irony of that. The Antichrist regime, the irony of this. Pretending it's the protector of Christianity. To the point, there's going to be an anti-Christian bias task force. The irony that Miss Bondi works for the literal Antichrist. And she dares get on television and say, I'm launching an anti-Christian bias task force. So if you see something, your coworker do something, say something, report them. Like the Hitler Youth reported people. Just like Nazi Germany, coworkers snitching on each other, family members snitching on each other, neighbors snitching on each other. Do you want to live in a fucking world like that? Do you know how many German parents and other European parents had to fear their own children? Because it only took their child saying that my mother or father said something against the Reich, and someone would come pick them up. Can you imagine watching one of your children, or all of them, get absorbed into the Hitler Youth, either this modern version or Hitler's actual version? So you're watching these people that were part of your family, your own children, turn into actual Nazis, looking to tell on people, including you, so they could get taken away. That happened to many parents in Germany and around Europe back then. Their kids became the enemy, or maybe their husband became the enemy, or their wife became the enemy, or their aunt, their uncle, their cousin, their neighbor, their coworker. That's where this goes. Ideas like this, anti-Christian bias task force, and report your coworkers. Again, that road only leads to a knock on your door after your son reported you for, I don't know, anti-Christian bias or anti-Reich bias. Or your neighbor maybe reported you, or your wife, or your husband. That's what you've ushered in, son. You folks with your name on this. Fucking deadly serious. Too late now, I'm sorry. The Japanese delegation came the other day to discuss tariffs, trade deals. I believe they walked away with no real deal, and maybe this had something to do with it. I just saw these pictures today. This is Donnie making the Japanese put on MAGA hats and take pictures. Now, he's not the fucking Antichrist at all, is he? Have you ever seen any other presidents do shit like this? I got another picture for you. This is a good one right here. As if this Japanese businessman wants to be photoed with this fucking mark of the beast on his head. Look at the look on his face and the thumbs up. This is the indignity these men had to, suffer through just to simply come make a trade deal. Again, is any of this fucking normal? No, it's not. Donnie must be shown adoration, worship. He's got a God complex. He's the Antichrist. When I saw these pictures, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding. The top people from Japan come over to try and make a deal. Donnie's got them putting on fucking MAGA hats for pictures, as if that's some kind of victory. No, that's a victory personally for Donnie. Because he's a fucking sociopath, and he needs that worship. I mean, my God, they could pick a regular guy off the street and he'd be a better president, because a regular guy off the street would have at least taken these people seriously and tried to hammer out a deal with them. Donnie's more interested in showing people worshiping him in some way. Do you see where this is going again? None of it's normal, none of it's logical. It's the reason is because it's supernatural. And that's why I'm here, to be your guide through that supernatural until the Reich executes me. Here's a picture of Leon, a meme I thought was interesting. Everything I hate is waste and fraud, dictatorship for dummies, a child's guide to turning democracy into a racist dictatorship. And boy, it even goes further than a racist Nazi dictatorship. It goes to Satan's the daddy, Leon's the false prophet, Donnie's the antichrist. It goes even into that spiritual realm. Fucking insane. And here's what it looks like. Got Leon on some kind of carpet or something. And Leon's saying everything I hate is waste and fraud. Well, it's more about that him hating things. It's about him grifting contract money, basically handouts, welfare in the form of contracts. We have no idea where any of that money's going. Right in his fucking pocket. It's the only thing keeping his shitty businesses afloat. We're gonna get to some Tesla stuff in a moment quickly, and it just proves everything so many people are fucking saying. But the right doesn't like DEI, it doesn't like minorities, it doesn't like women, it doesn't like Jewish people, and that's why certain books are being pulled out of military libraries. That's why stories about women fighting in World War II or whatever are taken away. Stories about the Holocaust are taken out of military libraries. The censorship of anything having to do with minorities. Remember when Donnie first got in, he ended the military observances of Holocaust remembrance and stuff like that. Did you see that, Mr. Netanyahu? I know, Mr. Netanyahu, you're blinded by greed and lust for power. And you want to get that temple and the resort and more glory for Israel. I know. So you're willing to literally work with the Antichrist and Nazis. But did you notice the Antichrist, the Nazi? One of the first things he did for the military is change the feast days, cancel holidays that had to do with women or LGBTQ or DEI. And by DEI, I mean black people, because that's what the Reich means by it. And Holocaust remembrance. Do you hear that, Jewish people? That's one of the, ways he's the Antichrist. He pretends to be the best friend of the Jews in Israel, the right wing. And then he does things right in everyone's face, saying, oh, yeah, the military can't celebrate Holocaust remembrance anymore. Why do you think he does that? Because he's the Antichrist and he hates Jews. And he hates Christians even more. Here's a great question. Have you noticed something about the ICE victims you have seen rounded up and shipped off? They are all men. Where are the women and children? Asking because the U.S. has criminals in charge who are heavily involved with global trafficking networks. Indeed. Indeed. Epstein, Donnie, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him. There's 97 pictures of Donnie and Puff Daddy together. All kind of pictures of Trump and Epstein, footage of Trump and Epstein partying. Trump's phone numbers, about 18 different numbers for the Trumps, something like that. Can't remember how many exactly. In Epstein's contact book. Got allegations regarding J.D. Vance, allegations regarding Mike Johnson. We got the Tate brothers welcome to America by the Reich like they're princes. So we must ask these questions, right? Where are the women and children being sent to? Do we even know? Do we even care? Do we know if they're alive or dead? Do we know if they're being trafficked? So while we keep talking about all the men being deported for foreign prisons or to foreign prisons, anyone know what they're doing with the women? And the little children they keep handcuffing in broad daylight. Well, I've read articles of some of those children getting out, but not all of them. So you rubes that have your name on this, that care so much about Pizzagate and sex trafficking and human trafficking, at least that's what you said. I know none of you actually cared about it, because you wouldn't have your name on Donnie. Donnie's all in that shit in many different ways. But you know it. You don't care. The real point of the Pizzagate stuff was Vlad's talking points to go after liberals. How'd that work out for you? Because now you lost your country, and everything you pretended to hold dear will go by the wayside because of the choice you made. So one more time, we have very evil people in charge right now, many of them all up in the sex trafficking scene, despite, what you read on right-wing Facebook. So the question is, where are the women being sent? Where are the children being sent? Anyone have that answer? Nope. But you spent like 15 years on Pizzagate improving your case. Where are you now? Where are you at? Oh, that's right. This trafficking, or this potential trafficking, has an R next to it, so it's cool. That's how I know you people never really believed in anything. The people that have their name on this. It's one of the ways. Because if the sex trafficker, like the Tates, come over here because they're associated with right wing, this whole MAGA bullshit thing, you're cool with them. But you spent, again, the last 20 years talking shit on Hillary Clinton and Pizzagate and Podesta and all that useless, fucking worthless shit. None of it true. Meanwhile, you put your name on real sex traffickers. And you hand your country over to one of the worst ones, Vlad Putin. He's totally mob. He's all up in that shit, too. How do you think they make their money? Breaking news, jury rules against Sarah Palin in libel case against the New York Times. Looks like Miss Palin has not only lost her face, she lost her case. And I just thought about that. I didn't plan on saying that. Because have you seen Sarah Palin lately? She's not looking too good. I never thought she looked good in the first place, but I know you rubes, these pseudo-attractive women that weasel their way up the ranks. None of them have an ounce of fucking intelligence, like Palin. Bobo is a great example. You guys think, you geriatric folks on the right, you think they're just the most gorgeous women. It's amazing to watch. When none of them are, actually. The only attractive woman that comes to mind for me in the right wing that I've noticed is that Katie Britt woman, even though she's a horrible human being. I'm talking about her just physical appearance. That's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. But, Bobo and Palin, man, you people went crazy for them as if they're fucking beauty queens or something. I'm just not seeing it. And I'm not saying there's not good-looking right-wing women in this country. Of course there is. I'm just saying the ones that weasel their way to the top based on their looks, people like Bobo, Palin, etc., because they don't have nothing in here. Nothing. So you ain't voting for them for that reason. I know what it is. I know what it is. It's just an interesting phenomenon to watch. Like Noam, too. She's basically anorexic looking. with 50 pounds of makeup and these horrible hair extensions and all that. And people think she's good looking. The old folks in the, right wing thing. It's astounding to me. RFK Jr. is launching a government registry to track autistic Americans using private medical records. What's that about? And I don't care what the article says it's about, because that's a lie. Why is RFK so interested in autistic people? Is it for his fight against the evil vaccines? No, it's not, son. Again, RFK Jr. was in favor of, he thought the idea up himself, putting drug addicts in concentration camps. In camps. Meanwhile, he's a straight up smackhead, heroin addict. And no, I don't believe he stopped. I'm not you people. And he's talking about other drug addicts going to work camps. That's his idea. Now he's talking about autistic people can't contribute to society. Now he's going to start tracking them via private medical records. Again, those of us that have studied history, we know exactly what this kind of talk is and where this kind of talk leads by sociopaths like RFK, the brainworm guy. It leads to eugenics, son. Because this is a Nazi Reich. Leon showed us that. And the way they act shows us that. And again, I explained to you, good people, when you throw up that Nazi salute, you are saying to the world that you believe certain things. Eugenics is one of those things. What did Adolf Hitler believe? If you couldn't contribute to society, you were infirm, you were mentally whatever, gas chamber. We don't need you. You can't help the Reich. What good are you? That's eugenics. Anyone undesirable to you gets exterminated. That's what it means when you throw up that Nazi salute, son. It also means you're cool with experimenting on humans medically. You're cool with mass extermination. You're cool with fascism, arresting, locking up, disappearing anyone you disagree with, anyone that causes you a problem. Ethnic cleansing, you're in favor of that as well. Because Nazism was about white supremacy, class. So that's what Leon was saying when he put that Nazi salute up. So again, now you've got this guy, this RFK freak, with a brainworm. Again, he has these two philosophies that sound kind of like Hitler's philosophies to me. And again, I watched this interview the other day, total jerk-off running the interview, and he starts it off with, we can never compare this Trump thing with Nazi Germany. Really? Why? Concentration camps? No? That doesn't fit? Talk of, eugenics, talk of or really the point I'm trying to make is the Nazi salute. Did we all miss the Nazi salute? All of you jerk-offs that want to seem, pseudo-intellectual and above it all and make comments like, well, we can't make comparisons to the Holocaust and a Nazi Reich. Yes, we can. Did you think it started off with 6 million Jews dying? No, they had to work their way up to the, crescendo. Pseudo-intellectual jerk-offs that make statements like that. Al Gore even made a statement like that today, that we can't really compare it to a Nazi Reich, but no, Al, we can. We're way past that point. Every day are new fucking proclamations. There's no congressional activity. We get proclamations from Caesar, from the head of the Reich. And we get Nazi salutes from Leon. So I don't know how anyone that's being intellectually honest can ever say, oh no, this is nothing like a Nazi Reich. We can't compare this to Hitler or the Nazis. Yes, we can. Very easily, actually. Did you see the Nazi salute, son? Do you know who the leaders in America of this movement are? Well, that would be Donnie and Leon. Of course, there's people that fund it, Thale and others. Again, we all thought Hitler was crazy. Was Hitler trying to put gold statues of himself on the Holy Land, son? That's a whole nother level of crazy. We're watching Donnie ignore Supreme Court rulings to bring people back from a concentration camp. Again, and I'm sorry, none of us can get past the Nazi salute. So anyone that dares to try and come off as more, I don't know, more kumbaya, more about a more larger mass of people, and you dare make us, we can't compare this to the Nazis. Yes, we can, son. Did you see the Nazi salute? Do you think he did that for nothing, son? Do you think RFK, the brainworm guy, talking about drug addicts going to camps, talking about autistic people being tracked and that they can't contribute to society? I'm sorry, I'm seeing every indicator that Nazi Germany saw, including the guy that staged a coup against his own government, who was then elected leader. Donnie had already been leader, so he's not like Hitler in that way. But Hitler tried to overthrow the government, got arrested, they put him in prison. I think he wrote Mein Kampf or something while he was in there. The traitor to his nation, who people made a religion out of. Got out of prison, they let him linger, then he made his move again, then he got in power, and millions fucking died. We've got the same pattern here. Complete with the Nazi salutes. Guy tried to overthrow the government. We didn't take it seriously. We didn't lock his ass up. He keeps the movement going. He gets back in power. Some think by nefarious purpose or nefarious means. I have no idea. It doesn't matter now. We're already in the Reich. So, class, where do you think the story's going next? You see all these other similarities. Death camps, Nazi salutes. Guy tries to overthrow the government. Idiots put him back in power. What happened next in the story, class? Oh, millions died, and no, they weren't all Jews, people you don't like. All kind of people, Christians, gays, infirm, mentally unstable people, mentally challenged people. Anyone who criticized the Reich, liberals, communists, trade unionists. Donnie's talking about locking up U.S. citizens that are in prison, shipping them off to El Salvador so no one will ever see them again. Where do you think it's going next, class? One more time, both tried to overthrow the government, then they got back in power, and that's when the real fun started. So if we see all the indicators and all the similarities, including Nazi salutes and death camps, and we see the traitor try and overthrow the government and then get back in power, well, again, the first version of the story, millions died after that. So, class, what's going to happen here? Do you want the answer? Are you ready for it? I don't think you are. Millions are going to die. Because that's what happened last time. And you, who have your name on this, are too fucking stupid to learn from history. Because you let your bias get in the way. Now it's over. Just like Germany was over the second Hitler got got in power. Over. And boy, was it over. Rubio skipping Ukraine talks as Zelensky rebuffs U.S. on Crimea. Yeah, they keep coming to Zelensky with literally Vlad's surrender plan for Ukraine. And they expect the Ukrainians to say, okay, no. Zelensky said no. So this headline rebuffs U.S. on Crimea. No, he rebuffs Vlad Putin's surrender plan for Ukraine. That's what Zelensky rebuffs. Should say rebuffs the Antichrist. Probably sell a lot more papers like that too, Maggie. Bill stripping child labor protections in Florida to allow minors to work without breaks and before 6 a.m. and after 11 p.m. on school nights just passed its final House committee. Public testimony was limited to 1 minute. Same bill DeSantis said is meant to replace migrant workers. So in Florida, the idea is let's replace the migrant workers that we're going to persecute and run out of the country, except for Donnie's illegals at his hotels. They get an exemption. And the farmers get an exemption with their illegals. We're going to replace that workforce in Florida, it appears, with children. Now, let me ask you this, class. Do you think they'll pay the children what they paid the migrant workers? Absolutely fucking not. We'll get $1 an hour, 50 cents an hour, $2.50 an hour. Way less than even the migrant workers were getting. Again, what you're witnessing is the downfall of an empire. When we're starting to revert back to child fucking labor. Because the Reich likes it that way. And wants even cheaper labor than the illegal Mexicans or Venezuelans or whatever they hire. Let's go to the children, because we know rich parents' children, they're not going to be working on the farm. Or in the coal mine, or in the factory. That'll be poor kids. Again, what you have is a Reich here. You have Nazis in charge. DeSantis is nothing but an extension of that, hoping to be the one in charge in Donnie's seat one day. And the big idea from the right wing in this country, not that they were ever good, is let's go back to child labor. If we want to try that experiment, I suggest all kids born to parents that make more than $100,000 a year, their kids should go to work first in the coal mine. And we'll see how great of an idea it is when your child comes back home with black lung. Or maybe your child slips and hurts himself at the work site because he's a child. Maybe he cuts his finger with a knife because he's a child. Nah, that wouldn't work for you, would it? But as long as it's poor kids that no one fucking cares about, no problem in Florida. Again, you're witnessing the downfall of an empire. You're witnessing a Reich. You're witnessing the Antichrist. You're witnessing the beast system being formed right before your eyes. You're witnessing sociopathy as the ruling reason for men these days. Where they're so desperate to do that evil and keep the grift going that will move to child fucking labor. I'm sorry, there's no justification for child labor. As much as you want to try and argue for it and still think you're a Christian or a good person or whatever, you're not. There's no argument, son, I'm sorry. So don't bother with the talking points from DeSantis or Fox News. And again, if everyone thinks it's so great, let's start with the rich children. Nah, we'll never do that. This is, again, just more evidence that it's over. It's a Reich. But let me just read it. After having terminated lawyers for unaccompanied children, the government is now making toddlers represent themselves in deportation proceedings. I know you think this is just fake news and a liberal lie, right? Nope. It's you, son. This is what you've done. I hope you're proud of yourself. Don't worry, God will hold you accountable. I promise. And I'm way smarter than you. The reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave the United States. Judge Ubaid ul Haq, presiding from a courtroom on Varick Street, told a group of about a dozen children on a recent morning on WebEx, "It's my job to figure out if you have to leave," ul Haq continued. "It's also my job to figure out if you should stay." The parties included a 7-year-old boy wearing a shirt emblazoned with a pizza cartoon who spun a toy windmill while the judge spoke. There was an 8-year-old girl and her 4-year-old sister in a tie-dye shirt who squeezed a pink plush toy and stuffed it into her sleeve. None of the children were accompanied by parents or attorneys, only shelter workers who helped them log on to the hearing. Immigrant advocates and lawyers say an increasing number of migrant children are making immigration court appearances without the assistance of attorneys, which they say will lead to more children getting deported. It'll lead to more children, God knows what, happening to them. Is this the country you want to live in, son? Where we have 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds on a video court hearing with no representation? Again, there's no argument for this that's acceptable to me or the man. Four-year-old migrant girl, other kids go to court in NYC with no lawyer. The cruelty is apparent. That's what you people are. You're cruel. And again, I know you thought only brown-skinned immigrant children and mothers and fathers were going to be the ones getting fucked with. Well, what about you who lost your government job, your farm, your business, your job because you got laid off because of a tariff grift? What about Miss Huckabee and the people in Arkansas that needed federal money? In other words, it's coming to your door too, son. Every one of you. And this right here, I'm sorry, there's no other way to describe this but just pure fucking evil. So I will entertain no arguments in favor of it. Waste of my fucking time. Because all you're telling me as you argue in favor for shit like this, in favor of Nazi salutes, in favor of Donnie shitbags, all you're telling me, son, you ready? Is that you were dead before you're born. And that your name's blotted out. That's all you're telling me. You're showing me. Still a little time to turn the other way and stop making arguments for evil. I hope you take that invitation. Because it only benefits you. It doesn't do shit for me. FDA suspends milk quality control tests amid job cuts. Milk quality control by the FDA suspended. Because of cuts by a South African grifter who weighs 250 pounds. And Donnie shitbags. That's why we can't have inspection of our milk. Donnie's grifting. And he's the Antichrist. He needs to crash out this whole system and bring in his system. Donnie Coin. Worshipping the image. You being beheaded if you don't. That type of shit. This suspension is another disruption to the nation's food safety programs after the termination and departure of 20,000 HHS employees. Damn, we can't even get milk quality control tests, huh? You people ain't interested in that. You're just, again, you gave your country away. You gave food safety away. Now every one of us has to worry about we go to a restaurant where we drink some milk and we're going to fucking die. That's the country you wanted, really? When it's someone in your family or a friend of yours that dies of listeria or whatever the fuck, I wonder how you'll feel about it. I wonder if you'll be so into it, if you'll be all about it. I make the same argument to the gun people, because I've had so many debates with people. No matter what is said, no matter what is no matter what happens, they still have to have that AR-15. So I bring up the point, well, what if one of your family members or one of your children goes down from one of these guns because some psycho decided to go on a shooting spree? Will you still feel the same way? I doubt any of you would. Here's another guy that was disappeared and no one knows where the fuck he is. Every day a new monstrosity. This person who was in constant communication with family would certainly have called his family and is either incarcerated in a black site prison somewhere or dead. The government is dumping people in random countries and it is not revealing where. An immigrant held in U.S. custody has simply disappeared. The Venezuelan man does not appear on a list of people sent to El Salvador, and his family and friends have no idea of his whereabouts. Not a Nazi Reich at all. Not dystopian at all. Not concentration campy at all. The story from today is shocking. The United States has disappeared a man. His last known whereabouts on March 15 was in the same place as others sent to El Salvador, but his name doesn't appear on the leaked list of people sent there. He is for all intents and purposes gone. Quickly, the story about him, not long. In late January, Ricardo Prada Vasquez, a Venezuelan immigrant working in a delivery job in Detroit, picked up an order at McDonald's. He was heading to the address when he erroneously turned on the Ambassador Bridge, which leads to Canada. It is a common mistake even for those who live in the Michigan border city. But for Mr. Prada, it proved fateful. The U.S. authorities took Mr. Prada into custody when he attempted to re-enter the country. He was put in detention and ordered deported. On March 15, he told a friend in Chicago that he was among a number of detainees housed in Texas who expected to be repatriated to Venezuela. That evening, the Trump administration flew 3 planes carrying migrants from the Texas facility to El Salvador, where they have been ever since, locked up in a maximum security prison and denied contact with the outside world. But Mr. Prada has not been heard from or seen. He's not on the list of 238 people who were deported to El Salvador that day. He does not appear in photos and videos released by the authorities of shackled men with shaved heads. So the guy's just gone. Again, what did I say? I said when the first van is deployed and someone has disappeared, our country is over. Well, we're way past that. We're at the point where we send an innocent man. We admit in court that we shouldn't have sent him and it was a total mistake. Then we fight tooth and nail to keep him in the death camp, even though he has no charges in El Salvador and no charges here. That's where we're at. We're way past this. Throw you in a van and deport you to a third world shithole death camp. But this guy, no one knows what happened to this person. They were just disappeared. Again, do you want to live in a country where the government does that to people? Or the Reich does that to people? That's a better word. Because you know what? That could happen to you. Donnie already wants to move on to U.S. citizens, the worst of the worst. That could be you, son. As you cheer on these other people getting sent to death camps and no one ever hearing from them again. That's funny, right? Trump has said that tariffs on China will come down and he won't play hardball. Donnie's already starting to cave on the China thing because, again, the Chinese don't need us. We need them. Donnie's learning that the hard way, but Donnie's got a grift going. He wants to keep it going as long as possible. He's got a lot of rich people yelling at him, though. He can't keep it going for much longer. He's already starting to cave on the tariffs with China. He's letting them know. That's why he said this today. That, we won't play hardball. The tariffs will come down. They won't be zero, but they'll come down. That's what he said today in the video clip that I watched. He's already backing down. Again, any trade war between America and China, China's won before we started, son. I hate to break it to you. DHL will now suspend consumer shipments from any origin that are over $800 because of a tariff-induced backlog at U.S. Customs, per Fortune. Tariff-induced backlog. Have you ever heard that phrase before? I never have before Donnie Shitbags. My point is, only Donnie Shitbags, the Antichrist, can give birth to shit like tariff-induced backlog. My God. And all the people waiting for shit from DHL, I'm sure this will really help you out. Sure, it won't fuck your business up or your life or a purchase you've made. It won't fuck nothing up, right? Hey, Donnie's grifting, and your products that DHL has sitting somewhere at some fucking border forever and ever, you and the products are a worthy sacrifice for the grift. I hope that's some consolation to you. Tesla's profits fell 71% over the first 3 months of this year. A company earnings release on Tuesday showed. The decline comes amid worldwide protests against CEO Elon Musk over his role in the Trump administration. 71% fall in profits. Yet the stock was up 10 points today. Does that make sense, class? No, that's called fucking fraud. When any article or report comes out that your profits are down 71, the stock should be tanking, not going up. This shit has been fraud for fucking years. The stock goes up based on nothing. And when horrid news like this even comes out, the stock still goes up. That should tell anybody that this is straight up fucking fraud. Makes no sense whatsoever. Again, Tesla's net income slid 71% in the first quarter as the company struggled to overcome competitive pressure overseas and a reputational hit from Elon Musk. No, it's just the reputational hit. That's all it is. They're trying to be nice here. The company also reported adjusted earnings per share 0.27, which missed analysts' expectations of 0.41. So even that was way down. Way overpromised. Tesla's core auto business is under pressure. The company's global vehicle deliveries fell 13%. I don't believe that number. I'm sure they fell way more than that in the first quarter, but partly because of a consumer backlash against the brand. So you get the basic. They didn't hit any of the numbers, not even close to what they promised, and they 71% down. The stock should be $30 fucking a share, in my opinion. It's at $2.38 or something like that. No way in hell, when news like this comes out about a company, that their stock should ever be up that day. Total fucking fraud. Trump considering a $5,000 baby bonus to encourage births. Here's the real thing about this. I'll tell you a secret, they mean white births. That's what they're really talking about. Plus, they need poor people having kids to keep that slave workforce going. For now, till they replace us all with AI and robots. The official death toll in Gaza has now surpassed 51,000, following Israeli strikes on homes, tent encampments, and roads. Since the collapse of Trump's ceasefire, Israel has effectively annexed over 50% of the Gaza Strip, displacing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and turning vast swaths of the region into military-controlled zones. Remember, Netanyahu discussed this. And I knew what it meant at the time, and I know what it means now. He called them security zones. That it wasn't Netanyahu, actually, it was his head of the military. Said that we're going to have security zones. What does that mean? I knew what it meant the second I heard it. That means all the Gazans cleared past that point. Whatever Netanyahu considers as a fair security zone. Well, fair appears to be 50% of Gaza annexed so far. Let me light the ciggy. So again, when I talk about this issue, I like to remind people, in my opinion, when Israel was attacked last time, people went into homes and raped, tortured, and murdered people. Israel then had the high ground to retaliate and get revenge on that and all that bullshit. Because if you're a leader of a country and someone comes into your country with 2,000 terrorists and rapes, murders, kidnaps, and puts it all on TV, you have to respond. There is no, I can't respond to that. There is no turn the other cheek. There is no Jesus in that. You have to respond. So Israel did have the high ground. Now they've joined the Nazis and they have a nefarious plan to remove the Gazans and build a resort and build a temple along with the Antichrist and the Nazi regime. Now it's become nefarious. Now it's become, we're going to annex Gaza and the United States is going to own it. Remember Donnie said that? We're going to own it. And we're going to have freedom zones with American troops in the Holy Land. So we've got Netanyahu with the security zones. We've got Donnie says we're going to own Gaza and we're going to have freedom zones. Doesn't sound dystopian at all, right? Freedom zones. So what do security zones and freedom zones really mean? Well, they mean we're going to clear out all the Gazans and we're going to take Gaza and build a resort, and then we're going to build the temple. And there'll be American troops there and B-2 bombers and stealth bombers at the ready. So if any Muslim country tries to stop us, we're going to bomb them back to the fucking Stone Age. That's the plan. So now it's become nefarious. Now it's become an alignment between Netanyahu, Vlad Putin, and a Nazi Reich led by Donnie Shitbags, the Antichrist, who the right wing in Israel see as some type of savior, like King Cyrus or something. And what was Cyrus famous for? He allowed the Jews to go free and build their temple in their homeland. They look at Donnie as King Cyrus. I'm not joking. They'll do anything for him. So one more time, you have an alignment of Vlad Putin, Netanyahu, and the Antichrist. Whether Netanyahu knows he's the Antichrist, Netanyahu wouldn't care regardless. He just wants more glory for Israel, and Netanyahu just wants to stay out of prison. Just like Donnie wanted to stay out of prison. So this agenda is still very much underway. According to this, 50% of Gaza is now in the hands of the Israelis. And we're going to add some American troops to that later because Donnie said it outright. We're going to own Gaza. He said those words. I read them to you. And have freedom zones. And again, the plan, Donnie's plan was to remove all the Gazans, ship them somewhere, just like he's shipping people to El Salvadorian death camps, you know? And then we'll build the Trump Gaza and have 40-foot gold Donnie statues and street vendors selling mini gold Donnie statues and little children with gold Donnie head balloons and money raining down from the heavens on all the little Palestinian peasant children. No, none of that's going to happen. You'll get the statues in the resort, but that ain't for the little Palestinian children. No money will rain from the heavens, except in Netanyahu and Donnie and Jared Kushner's pocket. That's if Donnie even allows Kushner a cut of the action. He is the fucking Antichrist. So expect to see in the near future the Gaza's getting cleared out. Donnie and Netanyahu building the resort. You saw the commercial. You saw the whole plan. Donnie and Bibi did not rebuke that commercial. They were showing you what they're going to do. Again, I wonder if there's some rule. I've heard of that. That these satanic type people, they have some rule where they have to show you before they do it. Or tell you they're going to do it. I don't know if that's true, but they keep doing it. They keep showing us. They keep telling us. And then they do it. So the current state of Gaza is it's rubble, and the Israelis basically have 50% of it, and it's a military-controlled zone. And in the future, we will have U.S. troops on the ground, and we will have a resort being built, the Gazans being cleared out, and possibly bombings of Iran if they start some trouble. And a temple, again, that's the end goal of all this. All this bullshit you're seeing, you're hearing being said by different members of the right, it all leads to that final road to Israel and Gaza and building that temple and resort. That's the purpose of all this. So that agenda, again, is very much underway. U.S. dollar falls to 3-year low per CNBC. Yes, Donnie's got to get us on that Donnie coin somehow, doesn't he? A Doge staffer left his GitHub public by mistake and uploaded code for federal employee LIRFS, and that's just the beginning. God only knows who all has our private info. God only knows indeed. So another abject fuck up by the Doge criminals, the Doge Hitler youth, that think they're smart. Auschwitz was not a single camp. It was 40 camps in Poland. Hitler sent people to die in foreign prisons without a trial. Do you get why we call you Nazis now? Yeah, once you start having actual US-funded concentration camps where people are not allowed to ever see or talk to the outside world, we're entering Nazi territory. When you see Nazi salutes and Panzer tank trucks driving around our highways with the same exact angles of the Panzer tank